cluttered garage. I'm really glad you're here. A place where we can laugh and talk and days are filled with cheer. The clouds and sun may come and go, but one thing's always clear. Welcome back, my friend. You know I'm really glad you're here. Yeah.
Welcome back, my friends. I am really glad you're here. Welcome to Livestream number 38 here on October 11th, 2021. Doing a little sound check here, getting myself situated. And let me just say, when I say that I'm really glad you're here, I really mean that. I mean, thank you for coming here on a Monday evening, starting your week out with me and with all these great folks in the comments. It is a great weekly get together, and I'm so happy that so many of you come back week after week, and the numbers stay about the same. So we've got new people coming, and some people can't come all the time. They're busy. I see that Chad from Purple Collar Life commented that he's got volleyball again tonight. So there are things that happen, and I get that. So I'm happy for everybody, and just all of your kindness in being here. So I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for your kind comments there, Chris at Waterside Overlook. Sorry to hear about Sophie. Oh, I can put it on the screen. Sorry to hear about Sophie. Hope tonight's live stream brings you as much joy as it does to all of us. I do appreciate that. It does bring me joy to do this live stream each week. Ross is not here right now. Hoping to join us later. Celebrating Thanksgiving. Well, happy Thanksgiving, Ross. You're a month early, though, buddy. No, I know. Thanksgiving in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot of Canadian viewers, and so let me wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Silly me, silly American. I thought we owned Thanksgiving. When I saw Ross's video that he put out recently where he was raising a pole at his brother's house, and at the end he said Happy Thanksgiving. I had to look at the date, thinking, is this video a year old? And I had to do a little more research and again, correct my own ignorance that I was not aware that today was Thanksgiving in Canada. So, again, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, tonight, let's see. I was going to talk about tonight's show a little bit, of course, and I want to talk about what you do in the fall with your tractors, with your equipment, with your property, what you do to get ready for the winter. My last video that just came out, this morning, as a matter of fact, if you haven't seen it yet, that was about a core aerator that I borrowed to aerate the soil, learning that the best time to do that is in the fall. So it's kind of a fall project. And so we did that, and it got me thinking about what other things do we do in the fall, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. You saw that I built that Harbor Freight portable garage, the one my wife loves so much, the tent type structure. You saw that, right? Yeah. Well, this weekend I found a nice big pallet. It's like a double wide and almost like a 4x8 pallet. So I put that in the back of that portable garage. I had an old piece of plywood. I know that's valuable these days, but it was pretty old. Old piece of plywood laid on top of the pallet. And then I put the rototiller on top of that. And, the rototiller is going to sit all winter long now. So how perfect is that to get that thing put away and it won't be sitting out in the weather, even though I tarped everything last year. This is even better yet. I mean, it's still, I guess, a tarp. That's what the building is. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. Let me look at some comments from you fine folks. I'm clipping through here. Good evening, Dave from RCAF Polar Express. Whitehart, is that Whitehart Acres or it's not Witchhart? Whitehart Acres. Yes, fist bump to you in the comments there. Caden, good to see you, buddy. And Phil from Peterson Farms of Little Nashville saying howdy all. Raining cats and dogs there. Wow. We've had a little bit more rain, but it's getting ready to pick up here for the season. It's been very dry lately. There's John right on top of things. John Ritter, happy Thanksgiving to our wonderful Canadian friends. Absolutely. And Projects with Paul is here. Good to see you. Bob, two Bobs, Brutal Bob. Yeah, Bob, thank you. Talking about our loss. So if you didn't see the video that came out this morning, I dedicated that video to Sophie. Sophie was one of our dogs. She was actually our daughter's dog. She rescued Sophie when she was a pup, and our daughter actually raised Sophie. Um, but she ended up retiring here to the country the last few years of her life. And she was a good dog. I mean, probably the most personality I've ever seen in one of our dogs. I mean, just you know, those some dogs that they all tend to look at you and it seems like they understand you sometimes. But Sophie, she really paid attention, and when you talk to her, she would really engage. So it was pretty neat. So thank you for that. Anyway, we lost Sophie over the weekend on Friday, and it's it's just always sad. They get old, you see it coming, you know it's coming, but it's very it's very sad. So thank you for that, and for all the wonderful comments on that video. Just so nice. And I also put a post out on the face no well maybe Facebook, but on the YouTube community tab. I posted a picture of her, and so many nice comments. So I really do appreciate that. And at the end of that video, I did post a little tribute to Sophie, and I'd like to share that with you here in just a moment. It's only 90 seconds long, but I thought that would be nice thing to share. So let's go through a few more comments, and then we'll talk about that, talk about Sophie, and then we'll talk about tractor implements and getting ready for winter. 360 Alaskan Life. Good to see you. Good afternoon, evening here, afternoon there, I guess. Um, Mikey0011 is here. Dennis, Projects with Paul, here for the stickers. Well, guess what? They're coming. We're going to do it. We're going to do stickers. And James there from Killing It Country saying hi to Dave. Very nice. I'm thinking about that one comment that the guy made. Maybe it wasn't a guy, person. Excuse me. I should have some water here. I have to drink some water from the drinking bird back there. Anyway, that one comment that said, "All you do is read who's online anymore." Yeah, well, I like to say hi to people, right? And again, you're saying hi to each other. So, Gary, good to see you. Ministo, okay. Who's your helpers? Oh, sorry to hear that. You lost your dog, Pepe or Pepe, last week. Sorry to hear that. So, hey, Donna, good to see you. And look at Ross skipping out on Thanksgiving dinner just so he could be with us tonight. Good to see you, Ross. I enjoyed that video that you put out, erecting that cable internet pole with your brother, and looks like you guys have really a good time. It's amazing. You might not realize this, but to those of us who um, don't know you well or are listening on YouTube, you guys sound alike. Even maybe it was your nephew talking, but behind the camera, you all sound like Ross. So funny though. Hey, Tin Barn from the Crystal Coast. Very nice. Thanks for being here. Very much appreciated. And there's Johnny. Hey, Johnny Loveland. Good to see you. So I'm sharing this, by the way, on Facebook, YouTube. Um, yeah, those two channels, Facebook and YouTube. We can simulcast, broadcast on both platforms. Last week I couldn't because, if you remember, last Monday there was this like worldwide outage on Facebook. So Facebook went down, Instagram, all the ones that they own, I guess. So I went to share the live stream and it wouldn't let me share it. So we did only YouTube last week, which is where most of our viewers are. But anyway, I've got some folks watching from Facebook. So good to see you there. In fact, there we are. Facebook viewer. You see the little Facebook logo there on the comment. That means they're watching from Facebook. If you look at Tractor Talk here with Gary, for instance, there's a little logo for YouTube. That means he's watching from YouTube. So that's pretty neat, right? Anyway, let's do this real quick. Not to rush. We have all the time in the world. We have until 8 o'clock anyway. Apologize for the cough. I'm going to find this little clip here, and I want to share this little tribute to Sophie. As I talked about Sophie, she lived here with us for the past several years, and she loved living in the country. She was a good dog, and so I hope that you'll enjoy this little tribute. Don't worry, no Sarah McLachlan music here. I had to keep this thing upbeat. We don't want to make it too emotional. But anyway, 90 seconds with Sophie. Thank you. Here's to Sophie. How fun is that? Look at all those nice comments. Yeah. Watershed, Chris, the bouncing dogs. Isn't that so funny? I mean, Hachi is such a little ball of energy. And I think we think that maybe Hachi kept Sophie going longer than maybe she normally would have, because those two, I'm not going to say they liked each other that much. Um, they tolerated each other, and Hachi's kind of a little brat. Um, like she would never let Sophie get the stick or the ball. Just a bratty like little sister. Um, anyway, so yeah, but anytime we took walks, they walked together, and I think they were kind of pals. They were like siblings who tolerate each other. But yeah, and they were together all the time. So I don't want to make it sound like Hachi's that much of a brat. She kind of is though. Anyway, question there about the black snake. Yes, that was a black snake. Here we don't have any poisonous snakes to be worried about. I've heard something about water moccasins or something, but where we are, it's not really a concern. If you go up north to the northern part of the state, they do have little uh, some kind of little copperheads or something. But black snakes, garden snakes, they're all over the place. And how come I not? There we go. Trying to get rid of that. Anyway, a lot of snakes. In fact, it's funny. Last year, that video was from last summer, and my gosh, we had so many snakes last summer, more than I've ever seen. And of course, the dogs found them every time, and it was always pretty comical. Uh, I don't think I saw, but maybe a couple snakes this summer. So I don't know what the difference was. Emery, good to see you. Are you talking to me? How long are you going to be on? Please type it in the chat. Don't know if I understand that. I mean, if you're talking to me, we're on till 8 o'clock. So don't know. Again, a lot of side conversations here happening, which I love to see. That's funny about 360 Alaskan. No snakes there. They'd all be frozen. That's true. Yeah, but you have other things, don't you? Have like grizzly bears and moose and wildcats and those kind of things. I mean, we really don't have any. We're really lucky. I think we're lucky. We don't really have any predatory animals to be fearful of. Now, coyotes have been reintroduced here in the past 20 years, and they've become a lot more prominent. I've only seen a couple. But if you have small livestock, goats and sheep and chickens, coyotes have become a problem. We've always had fox. Um, I used to have chickens, and when I was really young, like 20 years old, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have a good chicken coop. I just had them, and I put them in a little shed, and I had like a dozen chickens, and I didn't really care for them that well because, again, I didn't really know what I was doing. But anyway, I had these for several years, and then all of a sudden one day, my chickens would disappear one every night, and within a couple weeks they were all gone. So whatever found its way in, it found its way in every night, and so that's what happened to the chickens. Question from Daryl. Thanks for that reminder. By the way, I usually say this and didn't say it tonight. If you have a question, type the word question at the beginning of your question, just like Daryl did, all caps question, and then it helps me to see it. So how old is Sophie? Sophie was not that old. I mean, she was like getting close to 10 probably. And, I've had dogs her size, be 13, 14, 15 years old. So not that old. But she did have a congestive heart disease, and we were told last year that she may only live, 3 to 6 months or so. So she had this issue where when she had energy, she would run, and then she would pass out, like just fall over. It was sad to see, but then she would lay there for a few seconds, 15, 20 seconds, and then she'd get back up and keep going. So she lived with that for a long time, took a lot of medication, and it helped. But we would always hope that she would just run and then fall over one day and nature would take its course, but it didn't happen that way. Anyway, I'm trying to turn this comment off. There we go. Thank you. So yeah, good point about the if you have a question. By the way, if you like the video, if you like the live stream, give it a thumbs up. I don't mean a thumbs up in the live chat. I mean like click the actual thumbs up in YouTube or Facebook, but especially YouTube. So yeah, the thumbs up would be great. Do it for Sophie. Give her a thumbs up. What I was saying about the questions, if you have a question, type the word question followed by your question, then I'll see your question. How about that? And then, of course, later tonight, we will do the famous now sticker giveaway. All three of these. Last week, we gave away the bumper sticker. This week, all three stickers. So get ready for that. I mentioned it was Canadian Thanksgiving. Meant to put that on the screen. Happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian friends. It's also Columbus Day here. I'm not sure where else that's celebrated, but we also have Indigenous Peoples Day at the same time as Columbus Day. A lot of history there. Kind of makes sense when you look into it. National Sausage Pizza Day. Didn't we just have Pizza Day last week? You know what? I think it was Pepperoni Pizza Day. This is kind of crazy, right? Followed by, ironically, World Obesity Day. So that's a big day. And then these are just some of the highlights. National Coming Out Day. Well, congratulations. Whoever you are, I say be who you are. Be yourself. We're here for you. So let's talk about winterizing our equipment. I want to hear from you in the comments what kind of things you have to do. What's neat is that we cover a lot of geography on this channel. As I mentioned, we've got viewers from Alaska, from Canada. So it's really neat to think about the different geography, even within the United States. We're here in the Northeast, which is kind of the southern part of the Northeast in southern New Jersey. So we've had pretty mild winters the last several winters. Doesn't mean we can't have a cold snap. They don't usually last more than a week or two. When we do, sometimes it'll go down to, don't laugh at me, Alaska or Canada. Sometimes it'll go down to like 20 degrees. We've had some days though that are 0 or whatnot, but usually not much colder than that. And it's been getting warmer through the years, and not been as brutal with winter. So we don't have to worry so much about pipes freezing. I remember years ago, the farm next door, uh, he had water run out to his barn, and it was however deep he had it. Obviously not deep enough, but his water lines froze up, and what a mess that was. So I'm gonna look at these comments. Yeah, John, got my joke. Thank you. I just slid right past that. I didn't want to insult anybody, but yes, it was an intentional joke. And so, as I mentioned, I took the rototiller, the 3-point mounted rototiller, put it in the portable garage. So that's put away for the winter time. Um, so I'm going to kind of stack that with things that in the order that they get used. Um, I'll probably well next will be the mower. So the rototiller, and then I'll back the finish mower in there, park that in there because that's not going to obviously run all winter. The wood chipper, I can use that year round, and I might if it's not too cold. I do like using that wood chipper, as you saw in one of my most recent videos. I think the one before the last. Um, so that's my plan to stack the equipment that way. There's a question: what do you do to keep the mice out of the equipment? We have a garage in the country, which always seems to get a few field mice. Yeah, that's a problem for people, especially a problem for people with RVs. We have, as you've seen, a travel trailer, a camper, and I have been very lucky with that not to have mice in that. And sort of my trick for that is I keep a mouse trap or two set just on the floor with peanut butter in it, and I check it frequently. Because I figure if they're going to make a nest in that camper, they're going to look for food first. So my trick for that is just set the trap. And again, activity. I think if you're active around your equipment and whatnot, maybe that'll keep the mice out. So checking it frequently. Now, the other thing I have, and this is controversial, but I'm going to admit it here, just between you and me. Nobody else can know this. I mean, it's not illegal or anything, but I did put some of those uh, poison bait traps out. They're like the commercial ones you see. Maybe you've never noticed them before, but they're just like a black box, and they have a little entry hole in them. And inside are these nuggets of mouse poison. Um, I think I think they work pretty well. I have those placed. I have one under the camper. I have one right next to the crawl space entrance of part of the house where I know that they would come in there. I have them around the garage. I have them in the shed where the trash is kept. Um, and I check those frequently. And I open the box, and the little nuggets are gone. So it's working. I feel kind of bad, but there's a plethora of field mice. There's certainly no shortage of field mice. Um, I think one of the issues people don't like with that is that you get the field mouse will eat the poison and die, and then perhaps another wild animal will eat the dead or dying mouse. However, I asked a veterinarian once if the dog could get sick if they ate one of those mice, and I was told not. That the amount is so small, it was not a problem. So that's what I do. I'd love to hear from other people on what you do because that is a great question. You've got tractors, equipment, people who have classic cars deal with this. I mean, mice are just, they're looking for a home, a warm place to stay for the winter. So that's a great concern. Um, Donald here is making a suggestion to try Grandpa Gus Irish Spring soap. I've heard all these. If you want to know about mouse control, just go to one of the RV forums because, again, that is really a hot topic for RVers. And I've heard about bars of soap. I've also heard that they eat the soap. Some say it doesn't work. I've heard that you should put dryer sheets, because they have the perfume in them. Stuff dryer sheets around your open holes and whatnot, and the mice will not. They won't like that dryer sheet scent, so they won't come in there. I don't know if that works or not, but I've heard about dryer sheets. putting soap around. Um, Mothballs. Now that's a good point, Mitch. How you doing, Mitch? Do they still make mothballs? I thought that was a chemical that was changed now, not the old. Because mothballs, boy, they'll burn your eyes, right? Of course, that's the other problem. You don't want your like if you have a camper or a classic car, you don't want it smelling like mothballs. But maybe if that works, around your equipment. I mean, if you have a tractor or something and you want to put it up, if it's not going to run for a while and you want to put it up all around the manifold and everything, that might be a good idea. Yeah, that's what David's saying. Mothballs stink forever, which is true. They do. They're just so smelly, which is probably why they work, right? Um, yep, another comment about mothballs. John, thank you for that. Mothballs, a shipping container is by far the best solution because those things are sealed tight, right? Aren't they basically waterproof? Uh, so that makes sense. But I know it doesn't take much for a mouse to get in. If they can fit their snout through, apparently they can get in. Um, Edward Barker has a question. I like this question actually. Is that a Green Acres mock-up picture in the background? That it kind of is. That is my wife and I. It's really it's our American Gothic picture. We were on a hike with some very good friends, and we just my wife had her walking stick, and we just stood there and looked, very serious, like the famous American Gothic photo or painting. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's the old farmer and his wife. They're holding the pitchfork, and they're just very straight faced. So good eye. That's exactly. Well, it's not exactly what it is, but you're on the right track with that. So thanks for that. Yeah, we had a good time with that. And thank you to our friends for taking the picture and giving us that blown up canvas picture. Good question from Tony G here. Good to see you, Tony G. How about the electronic rodent deterrents? I've seen those where you plug them into your house. They're supposed to be a high pitched sound. I wonder if they work. I have some security cameras around, several actually, security cameras, and they are infrared. They see in the dark, and I found that I guess insects can actually see that infrared light because without fail in the summertime, right in front of the security camera, spiders build their webs. So they must see that infrared light. So I got a couple of those Pest. My brother actually sent them to me. Pest. You plug it in, and it supposedly emits a sound to deter the pests. It did not work for the insects. I don't know if it'll work for mouses, but that's a great question. I'd love to hear from folks if that works, because that would be great in a camper or something too, where you do have power if you're plugged in, obviously. That'd be interesting. John is all over these mothballs. Fill an old sock with mothballs, stick them all over the engine near the electric components. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if it smells under the engine, right? That's what I would say. There's another tip, and this is a great one too that I've heard about: mint oil rags on your 69 F-150 for years, no mice. Bounce dryer sheets and mint oil rags in glass containers. I've heard that they don't like mint, so yeah, I have heard that too. I certainly would rather smell mint than mothballs. Yeah, and Donald here is mentioning basically a trap, 5-gallon pail with some water in the bottom. I've seen some of these elaborate little traps where the mouse has to climb out to get to the food, and then he falls in the bucket, and you catch him in the bucket. What you do with him from there, that's your choice. But anyway, yeah, there's just so many of them. So many. So now I was mentioning that we have pretty mild winters, but I know for those of you like John Ritter, for instance, up in Minnesota, and then you've got Ross and GP and several folks up in Canada, and then Mike up in Alaska. I don't know if Mike has a snowblower, but a lot of you guys have snowblowers in the front of your tractors. Most of you have Kubotas, either a BX or B series or LX or L series. Um, so snowblowers. I think a snowblower would be really a fun thing to have, but I'm kind of happy not to need one. Even if we get 1 or 2 good snows a year, it'd be great to have it, but it wouldn't really justify having it. For those of you up north, you put your snowblower on, you leave it because you're using that thing probably once a week. Um, so I imagine you guys are getting ready now, getting maintenance done on your snowblower, getting ready to hook that up, and getting ready to use that. So, of course, we know GP Outdoors got himself a tractor with a cab and a heater because he was pushing so much snow, and that was great. Chris over there at the Watershed Overlook says his winter fall prep is non-tractor related. Take the boat off the water, off the lift, winterize, store in the trailer. Oh, you store it on the trailer. I'm reading too quickly and the words are small. Winterize the well pump, get the tractors ready to push snow that rarely comes. Yeah, exactly. But that's true. Those of you with boats go through this. Those of you with campers and RVs go through this. Winterizing is a real thing. In fact, um, I have to winterize the camper coming up soon, which you have to drain all the water lines, and then you pump RV antifreeze through those water lines, which I learned years ago. RV antifreeze, it's not that it doesn't freeze, it doesn't expand and crack, so it'll gel basically, um, and it's not a terrible thing. You just dump it in the drains, and there's a way to change all your valves and suck it up into the system, uh, bypass your water heater, and drain that down. Um, yeah, Ross is talking about the snow. Once a week, could be a few times a day. Yeah, that's a lot of snow happening up there. Sometimes I think I wouldn't mind if it snowed more here because we have these winters that are they're just nasty where they're not quite cold enough. Everything's just kind of muddy and gray. Um, and I feel like if it would just freeze, it would be okay. And if it would snow, it would be okay. But instead, it's just this constant freezing and thawing and like I said, gray and nasty. It can get very depressing, especially with the short days. That it's in I guess the shortest day of the year. You've got getting dark at 4 p.m. here, 4:30 at the latest. Um, and then it's not nice. So by March, you're feeling it. You're feeling like you can't take it anymore. And then spring comes just in time. We've got some people commenting on campers here too. And what about firewood? Now, I don't have a wood stove or a fireplace, and I really have always wanted one. I know they can be messy, they can be smelly, but there's something kind of, I don't want to say romantic, but I guess that's the word. Or there's another word, I can't think of it. Um, but anyway, as you saw with the fire pit, I love that fire pit. I've been doing that almost every Saturday night, lighting off that solo stove. Just love sitting on the deck with the fire pit going. And now that I have this solo stove, I can set it right on the deck, which is great. I don't have to go out into the grass. I can be right next to the back door and just sit there and enjoy a fire. I love that. So I would like to have a fireplace or a wood stove. I think, at least maybe as backup heat. But for those of you who do, I mean, have you been splitting wood all summer long? Do you have to stack it under shelter? Um, I've been splitting firewood for my fire pit. Of course, you remember we cut down that giant silver maple. I still have all the wood here other than what we chipped up in the wood chipper. There is a lot of wood here. I haven't gotten together with the neighbor with the sawmill. He was going to mill up some of that silver maple, and I still want to do that. We just haven't gotten together yet. So I've got giant, I think they're pretty giant maple logs, but then I have these limbs that are good 12-inch, 14-inch diameter uh, limbs or logs, trunks that I need to cut those up into 16-inch pieces, and I'd like to split those up, use them for my fire pit. I was thinking about could I sell those at the end of the out by the road? Bundle them up and just sell bundled campfire wood. I don't know that I don't think maple is considered a hardwood like oak or ash, but I think it's a good burning wood. Um, Certainly good for campfires. Um, I'm reading a comment here. Statement rather than a question from Mitch. Statement: I use RV antifreeze and then drain it again. It will expand enough to break a water filter housing over the winter. That's interesting. Probably a good idea, Mitch. I never thought of that, but I like that a lot. You fill your lines with the RV antifreeze. Um, the only thing that's going to freeze is what's in the line. So the more you take out of the line, the better it is. So that makes a lot of sense to just drain it down, and then if you have anything lying in the bottom of the hose, it's going to be antifreeze. I like that. That's a great tip. Thank you. I might do that. I may do that this year. Fill it up, drain it out. So Margaret has a pellet stove. That is fun. It's like the enjoyment of a real fire, but not the mess of firewood. So I think that's pretty neat. Uh, it's hard to take the maple though and make pellets out of it, right? Do you make your own pellets? Jeremy also loves the pellet stove. Yeah, it's a neat in between. It's I like it a lot too. And Dave says any wood is good as long as it's dry. Yeah, I also bought a moisture meter the other day. I've always wanted one of those. Never really thought I had the need for it, but they're not that expensive. In fact, I bought the one that Chad demoed on his channel. I don't know if it was recently or not, but I recently watched the video. I bought the yeah. I can't even think about what it was. Is it General? I don't know, but so the water meter that you with a little pokey sticks that you stick in the end of the wood and see what your percentage is. I've been having fun with that. And a lot of the wood that I thought was probably fine is not. It's reading like 25%. Where I stuck it in the wall of my house or the kitchen cabinets, and they read like 10%. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I thought let me get a baseline by checking wood that I know is dry, like for instance the kitchen cabinets, or even inside the garage, the walls, the 2x4s in the garage and the shed. They read like 10%. So I figure if that's my baseline, I can go from there. And I know that if something is 12, 14%, it's probably fine. I don't know a lot of the firewood rules and regulations for dryness though. Caden has a pellet grill, which is a smoking grill. A lot of pellets. And if you can get flavors in a pellet grill, that's pretty neat. I guess you can get like hickory pellets and whatnot. Pretty neat. So Margaret started a whole conversation about pellet stoves. For sure. And of course, James there has geothermal. There you go. Can't beat that too, right? Our primary heat here is oil heat. Um, I've got some propane fireplaces, fake, but it gives you a flame at least. But our primary heat is oil heat, and I just replaced the boiler last February. Could have been the one before now because time flies. But we replaced the boiler. I was going to go with propane. We don't have natural gas available where we are. I would love it if we did. I think that would be the best thing. Um, but the I was going to go with propane as a second choice, just because I thought it was cleaner and you could just run the PVC pipe for the chimney. But we had oil heat before. It was an old Weil McLean boiler, 40 years old. I got some different proposals, and somebody said, you're going to get another 40 years out of this if you replace the boiler with basically the same thing. They haven't changed much over the years. So we already had the oil tank. The chimney was in place. So we just replaced it with oil heat, and the new ones are, they're pretty efficient, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. Plus, if you run out of oil, you can go to the gas station and buy a container of diesel fuel and dump it in there. Haven't run out of diesel fuel or heating oil for a long time. There was a time when things were much tighter, and we did run out of oil several times. I could talk to you about that whole story, but yes, there was a time when I was going out buying 5-gallon containers of diesel fuel, a couple times a week just to keep the house heated. First world problem, I know. But anyway, we all have stories. There was a question I saw here. Question: how big is your oil tank? 275 gallons. It's outside. It's not in the basement. A lot of people have tanks in their basement. Ours is outside. Years ago, this is interesting. We had a buried steel oil tank. It was done in the 70s. And the state had a program where they were paying for inspections of your oil tanks, buried oil tanks, because they did not want underground storage tanks because they're so problematic to the environment, to the water supply. So, I think it was personally, I think it was tax dollars well spent. They were paying for these inspections. We had a company come out. They did the inspection. They found that our tank was, in fact, leaking. Uh, the other part of that program was if your tank was found to be leaking, the state would pay for its removal and replacement with an above ground tank. So we had the oil tank removed. It was a big old steel oil tank. When they pulled the tank out of the ground, pieces of it flecked off. Like there were like golf ball size holes in this tank. It wasn't leaking terribly because there's a lot of clay content in the soil around here, and it was basically holding the tank together. But when they disturbed it and the soil came off, there were holes, like shotgun holes, BB holes all throughout. So what a great thing it was to get that out of here. And then they paid for, or I should say, we paid as residents, as taxpayers. So thank you to any other taxpayers out there for helping us pay for our oil tank. But they replaced it with an outside oil tank, and it's all good from there. So anyway, some programs I think are pretty good because we would not have had the money at the time to do such a project. That's a big project to do, and a lot of people are in that position where they may have these old generation old systems that they're stuck with. And what do you do? What do you do? I know of some buildings like that are sitting there. They're a danger, but the owners can't do anything with them. So yeah. So that was that question. Performance Mustang, this is a serious question here. How do you keep the bird going? His doesn't work. Worth a toot. Well, listen, first of all, Performance Mustang, the bird has got to be calibrated correctly. You've got to balance the bird so that, it has enough lift to go back and forth. The head has to stay wet at all times. So, tell you a secret, the bird doesn't go all week long. He dries up, and then next Monday night, I will fill the cup to the brim and I'll pour water over his head, and then he just starts going. And the science behind that is that as long as the head is wet, then the head is cooler than the bottom. And as it tilts, the liquid inside evaporates, fills the head, goes back. Anyway, so you've got to calibrate it, you've got to balance it, keep the head wet, and you too will have a drinking bird that goes on and on. Now, if I keep that cup full, because the beak actually dips in the water, and that dipping action keeps the head wet because the head's made out of like a felt, and as long as the beak dips in the water, it'll keep that head wet. So if I were to keep that cup, where are my hands here? If I were to keep that cup full of water, then he would go continuously. There's your science lesson for today. So, any other questions here? I think a lot of you do have wood stoves. I mean, it's pretty common. And I don't know, Caden, you're asking the question, the capacity of my Kubota. I guess you mean the lift capacity. I'm not sure. I have looked up these numbers before. I don't really know. In this video where I lifted out that that tool that I just used. Oh my gosh, what was it called? Anyway, the core plug aerator. That's it. That was on the back of the trailer, and I hooked the chains onto the bucket, and it was pretty far out from the front. I could not pick that thing straight up, and that weighs like 585 pounds. But that again was out on the outside of the bucket. Had a hard time picking that up, so what I was able to do was just curl it back and lift it off. When I put it back on the trailer, instead I wrapped the chains around the bucket, so I was picking up from under the bucket, and it was like no problem whatsoever. So if you're asking about that capacity, I don't know, but if you look up B2601 on the interwebs, all that information is there. And if that wasn't the question, apologies. Question from Edward Joyce. Anybody ever clean up and use one of those oil tanks as a diesel fuel station for your equipment? If so, where can you find decent ones cheaply? Absolutely. You can, I'm sure, go on like Facebook Marketplace seems to be the place now, better than Craigslist or eBay to find things, especially locally. Um, but I'm sure you can definitely find a used oil tank. And if they're not rusty on the inside, there's probably not much cleaning up that needs to be done. Heating oil is the same thing as diesel fuel. So as long as it doesn't have bad water or sludge in it, you should be fine because you can put a filter on it, you can put a crank on it. You can absolutely do that. I used to have one on the property because, well, there was one here from the 70s, back when there was a gas shortage. I'll tell this story real quickly. Back in the 70s, my mother, who lived here at the homestead, she was a nurse, and she was able to get a gas tank installed at the house, above ground tank, and fuel delivery. So she always had gas available for her vehicle. Years later, we converted that to a diesel tank because I had an old tractor. And then I got rid of it when I didn't have a tractor for a while. Thought about it again when I got the B2601, but you know what? I don't burn enough fuel to really justify that. If I buy, I've got like 4 or 5 gallon diesel containers. I try to keep several filled on site, and it's more than I'll ever need. So for me, I wouldn't need um, a diesel container like that, a tank on site. But you certainly can get one, and you can get a hand crank pump. You can get an electric pump for it. Definitely can do that, and I'm sure many people do, especially a lot of farmers who have heavy equipment and they're using several gallons a day. Absolutely. So, question from Mitch: do you guys have a well? We actually have almost a brand new well. We had to have our well redug about 8 years ago. It was 60 years old, and it collapsed. Basically, it was built with 1.5 inch steel pipe, is what they used back in the 50s when the house was built, and that pipe rusted away, collapsed, and we were sucking air. So we had to have a new well drilled, 4 inch um, PVC pipe drilled down 380 feet, I think. It's a very, very deep well. It's also the last well I think this house will ever need. So we do have a well. We have a well. We have private septic. We need a septic system. I've got plans right here now from the engineer. We're trying to get quotes for a septic system, and everybody's backed up, no pun intended, and may not happen this year. We're okay, but it's something we want to do because, again, that too is over 60 years old. Hey, I want to give away some stickers here, so I need to stop reading these comments. But here's a person selling something. I'm okay with that. Performance Mustang has a flail mower for sale in North Carolina. It's on Marketplace. Boy, I would love a flail mower. I think I would. But that's probably at least a 10-hour drive for me, depending on where you are. I think Charlotte is like 10 hours from here. Anyway, if anybody's in the North Carolina area, reach out to Performance Mustang, however you can do that. So one more question about fuel, because this is a good one with our winter prep conversation. What, if anything, do you use in your fuel tank to keep it from gelling? Um, yes, that's a good question. Um, I know that isn't there a winter mix though? If you get your fuel tank filled, uh, try to time it so that you get fresh fuel in the winter, because I think they put an additive in the wintertime. But there's things you can add, and I don't know the answer to that, but I'll let folks answer that question. Let's let's give away these stickers. We're going to do these tonight. I know there's been requests for bumper stickers, but maybe we'll alternate and do bumper stickers next week. So tonight is the sticker draw. Oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for this. All right, you got to wait for me now. I'm usually I'm usually so prepared with all this stuff, but only take me a second. Just bear with me here. There we go. And I just need to type this in. All right. Do that. All right. And then I need to share this screen. Look at me go. Look at how organized I am. All right. Watch how he does that. Isn't that amazing? There it is. How about that? So here's what we're gonna do to win the bumper stickers. Not the bumper stickers. I'm sorry. The stickers. If you've won these stickers in the past, please do not enter, because we want to give everybody a chance to win. So for those of you who have not won the stickers in the past, you can win these stickers if you're in the United States or Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. So that's it. You're going to type in this word as I share it, just the way you see it on the screen. You could have guessed hashtag Sophie. I just came up with that. So type it in the screen just as you see it. Again, if you already won the stickers, please don't enter. Also, if you never won the stickers, you can enter by typing that word in. Doesn't matter if you type it more than once, it's going to kick out all your other attempts. So you only need to do it one time. Everybody gets an equal chance. And we'll see how many entries we get. Usually it's about 30 or so. We have a lot of people watching tonight, so this is fun. Again, United States or Canada. I can't be sending these stickers all over the world, This is what you're playing for. 3. All 3 stickers. And several of you have one, which is fun. We're going to give it a little bit of time because we have a lot of people watching tonight. Probably, maybe one of the most watched live streams in a long time. 30 entries, 32 entries. A little different music tonight. I usually use the match game. All right, we're going to cut it off here momentarily. I do love this music, though. You know what that is, right? That's right. Price is Right. I like that the music hasn't changed for as long as I remember. All right, 34 entries. I think we'll cut it off there because the number hasn't changed for just a moment. Here we go. Who's it going to be? Oh, whoa, it's Dave from RCAF Polar Express. Congratulations, Dave. Dave has been watching the channel for a long time and has been such a great supporter of the channel. I'm so happy to see that. And by the way, Dave has his own channel. So if you get a chance, after this live stream, go onto YouTube and do a search for RCAF Polar Express. That is Dave's channel. He's got a Mahindra tractor with the backhoe, and he does some welding projects and some pretty neat things. Really nice person, and congratulations. So, Dave, you know the routine here. You've probably heard it before, but what I need you to do, Dave, is send me an email as soon as I find it to share with you. This is my email address. Uh, Email me at contactmcgtv@gmail.com. And Dave, tell me your mailing address and where to send these stickers, and I will send them to you. So, congratulations, Dave. That's fun. Hey, if you enjoyed this live stream, again, if you give it a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you watching the other videos that I put out. I know these live streams are not, you don't get as many viewers. Even, we do really well here. And I'm really, again, so happy that you join me each Monday night. I watch some live streams from some really, really large YouTube channels. And, they might get a couple hundred people on the live stream, but we're still a pretty small channel. And we've got, at one point, we had over 70 people watching tonight, which I think is great. Good night, Donna or Rhonda. Um, Folks saying good night. But the point is, thanks for watching these. When I was saying we're a small channel, I meant to mention this earlier. This was exciting for me. I looked at the calendar and realized that it was 1 year ago to the day or yesterday where the channel reached 1,000 subscribers. And if you're a YouTube content creator, that's your goal. Your first big goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers so that you can be monetized and you can collect some ad revenue, as however small it is. It's exciting because you feel a little compensated for the work that you put in, because these YouTube channels, all these folks who have YouTube channels, it's a lot of time and effort. Even though it's fun as anything, it still takes a lot of time. So it's nice to reach that point where you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched, and you can collect some of that ad revenue. But that was a year ago. Here we are 1 year later, and the channel has over 14,000 subscribers. So it took 7 months to reach that first 1,000, and then just a year to reach 14,000. And we're headed quickly for 15,000. It's not about the numbers, but it's kind of nice. It just makes a content creator feel like they're doing the right thing. And as long as you're watching the shows and enjoying it and interacting in the comments, I love putting out the content. It's a lot of fun. So we have a good time with it. So let me click off of this thumbs up and look at any comments that anybody else may have. Before we click over to here, clicking around, this is kind of a clunky program, I have to say. I like it, but it's not always easy to find what you want to do. So anyway, it's coming close to 8 o'clock. I like that we can keep this live stream within 1 hour. I love that you come back every Monday night. I hope you'll watch the full video of the air raider. That was fun. Only a 7-minute video, 8-minute video or so. Kept that one pretty short. There wasn't a whole lot of content to record there, but it was still fun nonetheless. And you can rent those air raiders. This one came from Sunbelt Rentals. You can rent them for like $140 for a day or weekend, whatever. Not much money compared to buying one for something you're only going to use once a year. So it's a fun little project. With that, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you. And I hope that you made some friends tonight. I hope that we made some friends and that we will see you again next week. So have a great week, and we'll see you soon.